Hello and welcome to the Blessings in the Streets podcast, season 2 reunion special. This is actually our part 2 of our reunion special. We had the fellas on our first part of the season 2 reunion special, and now I brought back some of the ladies from this past season to join us. This is an opportunity for us to check in with them, what their experience was like on the show, just to kind of give people who may not have had an opportunity to do something like this an opportunity to get some insight on what it feels like to be a part of an experience like this. So these special ladies that have joined me this evening, their episode made it into our top 10 for the season. So we're definitely glad about that with their top 10 episode this season. And of course, I have a guest co-host with me. Some of you may have seen her before as well. She also in season 2 had a top 10 episode as well. So we got some top 10ers in the house with us today. And so with that said, I'm looking forward to an exciting show once again to check in with these ladies and see how things have been going. And again, to provide some insight as to what the overall experience was like with being on the podcast. So it is my privilege and honor, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you 3 special ladies that mean the world to me. I've known quite a long time. But nevertheless, we're just like family to one another. And so it's great to have them aboard. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Miss Donna Evans, Miss Andrea Bennett, and Miss Kim Davis, my special co-host for this evening. Ladies, thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Y'all trying to act all shy all of a sudden. Like y'all ain't been on the show before. Like y'all don't know each other. So again, this is an opportunity for us to kind of check in with each other and see how things are going with each of you. First off, let me just highlight again the episodes for Kim, my co-host for this evening. Her highlight from season 2 was she was a part of our marriage marathon of marriage series that we did in season 2, and she was the second of 7 couples that were presented. Her and her husband were aboard, and again, she made the list for this particular season. Her episode actually came in at number 5 for our season 2 viewers' choice. And then, as I stated earlier, for Donna and Andrea, their episode, which was called "Better Than Any Friend," it came in at number 10 for our top 10 viewers' choice for this season. So again, we got some celebrities on here today, and we're gonna jump into what your experience was like. So, with that said, let's just go ahead and jump right into it, because I want to find out what it was like for you, just kind of hearing firsthand. I'm always interested in getting that type of feedback, so I can not only know if what we're doing here is worthwhile and has value, but also to kind of know, it also gives me just feedback in general to just kind of know, and let our audience members know, I should say, just the value in what it means to truly share your story and be transparent and vulnerable, as all of you ladies have so graciously done. So I'm gonna start off with you, Donna. My first question is when I reached out to you and asked for you to consider being a guest on the podcast, I'm curious to know from you, what was your initial reaction to my request? And what was it that ultimately led you to say, yes, I think I want to go ahead and be a part of this?
So, hello everyone. My initial reaction was, what and why? Why me?
Okay.
I am not interesting enough. And from there, it kind of went to jitter, like, really? Me? So, yeah, I was quite nervous, and because it was my first time ever doing anything like this. But I started thinking about my story a little bit, and well, what story, I have or had at the time. And I was like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. I can tell, what I've gone through. Maybe it'll help someone else. That's the only thing I could think of at the time.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And again, I mean, that's not unusual for people to speak about being nervous. I mean, for my audience who does not know, Don and I have known each other for over 24 years. And Andrea as well. We've known each other. We all met at the same time. So well over 24 years ago. we watched each other kids grow up. We
Mhm.
attended weddings. We just been through a lot of times together. Most of them good times, but there's been some challenges in between. But
Mhm.
nevertheless, even with the challenges, we've been a family to one another. We've been a support to one another. So,
Yes.
but I was so certainly thankful that you accepted the opportunity to be a part of the podcast and share your story. And of course, I didn't know in advance. Like in most cases, I don't know ahead of time what people are going to share. So, just appreciative that you trusted me and trusted my platform to be able to come in and be vulnerable, especially since it was your first time doing so. So, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Um, so, Andrea, same question.
Now you
I
know.
reached out to you. I said, Dre, I want you to be on the podcast. I even threw a little incentive in it to say, I'll put you and Donna together if you both say yes. But I didn't know if that was going to work or not. But
So
nevertheless, what was your impression and what made you, what was your initial impression and what made you say yes?
I was like, Joe is crazy. What? He want me to do what? So I had to call Donna. I said, Donna, Joe want me to be a. She said, me too. I said, so what we gonna do, Donna? I said, we gotta show up for our brother. So that's what made me. So then I said, you know what, we can do this. I didn't know the questions you was gonna ask us. I didn't know what you want us to share, but I just figured whatever it was, that it was probably something encouraging for other people.
Yeah.
And so
Awesome.
I just went from there. So yeah, but first I was like, Joe crazy. He asking his two sisters. He know how we are.
That's probably why he asked, because
He asked, and
yes, no,
he knew that he got to say, "Well, I'm gonna do the other one, put the other one in there with you in order for y'all to do it," because he know how
yes,
we are.
Well,
yeah,
that's
I can
awesome, man.
relate. That was my response as well when he first asked me. I'm like, okay, what do you want to say?
Yeah,
But like you two, I just want to show up for my brother and support his
yeah,
gift.
platform, yeah.
To support him and everything. So I kind of had the same reaction as you two did.
That is awesome. That's awesome. And again, Dre, thankful to you for, I know this was something new to you, and willingness to be a part of this, of course, was definitely meaningful to me. And I was also curious to hear what you had to share, and appreciated you being transparent and vulnerable as
Yes,
well in
most
doing that. And with that said, since we're kind of on a roll, I'm gonna ask Kim, because again, Kim was a part of season one. She of course came back on the reunion episode. But what was a different twist for her in season two was not only being a part of the Marathon of Merit series, but then I also extended the opportunity for her to be a co-host with me.
yeah,
She actually technically she took over my show on this particular episode. It was the what we called the I entitled the Pass the Mic episode, where
yeah,
I allowed myself to be placed in the interview chair, and
yeah.
and let Kim ask the questions of me. So my question to you, Kim, was what was your reaction when I asked you to actually assume the role of being a co-host of the show, in the chair of getting asked the questions, now giving you the opportunity to ask the question? I'm kind of curious, what was your initial reaction and what made you say yes to doing that?
Well, I was nervous to co-host, pass the mic. That means that I'm going to have a little control over what was going on, the questions and the feedback to him. So I was a little bit nervous about it. But once we got the flowing and my little butterflies started flying off,
Mhm.
it was a great experience. It really was. And I thought it was a great opportunity also for his interviewees to get to know him and other people to get to know him and let him share his story or how he got to this point of blessing in the street, because it was very interesting. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And thank you for your willingness to not only come back on, not only to be interviewed a second time. In that scenario, you were interviewed with your husband. The
Yeah.
two of you shared very powerful testimony about your marriage, but then also to come back and host, and this is now your second time being on the show as a host along with me. So again, much gratitude to that and appreciation for all the support and encouragement that you have provided along the way as well.
I
So,
appreciate
with that said, I'm not gonna hog up all of the questions. Kim, an opportunity to ask you ladies some questions as well. So, what question would you like to ask them?
Well, I would like to ask this question, and we could start with Drake. What thoughts and emotions did you experience when you were sharing your story, before, during, and after? Because I did view the interview.
Mm-hmm.
Your story, it was really powerful. Both of your stories was powerful, but I know you got a little emotional at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
can you share that with us?
So, just thinking back about what was going on in 2009, at that point in my life, just, I can talk about it now. I used to not to be able to talk about it because, like I said, along with that, what was going on with me was also my mom passed in the midst of it. So it just, just to bring back memories of what was going on then and how God brought me out of it. Just, just yeah, just made me emotional. So yeah, there's just and thinking about it now, still every now and then, I think about all that I went through and where I am now. It's just it's been great. You
Yeah.
know, yeah,
So the emotions that you was experienced, uh, can you agree to say that it was more so gratitude, emotional
gratitude. Yeah,
gratitude?
yeah.
Because we do get emotional at times when we've overcome a certain
Mm-hmm.
challenge in our life, because at the point we think we can't get out of it. If we think it's a hopeless situation,
Yeah.
and then when God walk us through it, it builds our character and endurance. And sometimes you just get emotional with so
Emotion.
much
Yeah.
gratitude that you overcame that. And now that, like you said earlier, you're able to share that story. At one point, you was not able to
Oh
share.
no.
So I really appreciate the transparency and sharing your story. Hmm.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Gratitude. It's what I every day. I don't just wipe things off my shoulders now.
Yes, yes. And so for you, Donna, the same thing. What were your thoughts or emotions that you experienced at the time that you were sharing your story, before, during, and after?
So before I was more so a little nervous with sharing. Not a lot of people knew about the house that I had just let go of or lost, I should say. And so to tell it, it brought a relief over me, so to speak, because I was sharing it. Um, and people didn't know. Honestly, I didn't tell anyone. People came up to me, family even, and friends that I'm close to, had the slightest idea, and they literally said, "I would have never known because you never expressed, you never showed." And so it was just a relief, honestly, to tell that story. So, and like Dre just said, just to know that I've come out of it.
Hmm.
Um, God, a long way.
Yeah.
And so grateful, honestly, just grateful.
And then during your interview, you had made mention, and I think you said it in the beginning of your answer, that it was a burden lifted because you felt like you couldn't see a way out of it. And then I liked the part when I saw the interview, you said, God, you gonna handle this. You know, you gave it to him. And usually when we do that, he does. He handled it. He would just wait for us to ask.
Yes.
So, you know, and lay that burden down on him so he can take it over, because he can handle it better than us. He have the resources, you know, to handle it better than us. You know, all he's doing is waiting us for us to pass that over. And I appreciate you both for that. I really appreciated that.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah, just real quick, you know, kind of tag on what Donna was speaking to, is there's just something powerful. You both actually spoke to it, but there's just something powerful about when you get to a point in time where you know you went through something, and maybe there was some guilt, some shame, some embarrassment, some, you know, or whatever those negative vibes or emotions are that you're going through, and to finally arrive to a point where I can share my story, unashamed, unapologetic, not worried about what people think about me or how they view me or whatever. To me, there's great power when you're able to get to a point in life where you can do that, particularly when it comes to your trials and tribulations of life. And then I also love, you know, and this is where God's covering is that, you know, when you can walk before people and because you have a joy and a trust and a love for God, even when you're going through, you don't look like that you're going through. You're not walking around open and downtrodden and you know, and where people like, it's kind of like how they tell you, like, for example, like when they tell us about fasting, you know, in the Bible, it teaches us, you know, you're not supposed to look like you starving to death, you ain't had nothing to drink or eat in, you know, in weeks or months or whatever. It's not supposed to, that's not supposed to be the image, that the impression that you're sending out. And it's not that you're trying to be fake or phony or anything like that, but it's about being able to withstand and endure and understand that there's a purpose in why you're going through what you're going through, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it doesn't feel good. But nevertheless, when you are able to stand tall through the midst of those challenges, and then people find out later on down the road that you were dealing with something, going through something, like, oh my God, I didn't even know. Well, it wasn't necessarily for you to know. It was for me to know, and for me to be leaning into God to help him, you know, to help me get through that situation. It wasn't about me getting a pity party or you feeling sorry for me or all of that kind of stuff. It was, again, it was more about me being strengthened in my relationship with God, so that as more way, because as we all know, they're going to keep coming in some fashion or form. We get better in each round of those storms. We get better and better and better in how we respond to them, versus just always being in our emotions and our feelings and letting it get the best of us. So I just wanted to kind of tap in on that. But to back to you, Donna, I'm curious, you know, whenever you have an experience like this where I've been on the podcast, I told my story, the date is set for it to come. I've had guests who, you know, have shared with people that they're doing this, that they actually did the interview, and people have their thoughts and feelings about it, good, bad, or otherwise. And then, of course, there are people who get a chance to see the episode and they have their feedback and their commentary afterwards. So what I'm curious to know from you, Donna, I'm going to ask you both this question, but I'll start with you, Donna, is what was the response or the feedback like from others when they found out that you were doing something like this? And then for those who actually had a chance to listen to it, what was that experience like, feedback and hearing what people had to say about what you shared, and again, whether it was good, bad, or otherwise?
So I did. I shared with everyone that I was going to be on the podcast. So, you know, I didn't care who you were. I was at church. I was telling everybody. And so they were, literally everyone was happy for me. You know, and I can't wait to hear your story. That's what they kept, you know, I got that a lot. I can't wait to hear your story. I can't wait to hear your story. And after, you know, for the ones that couldn't make it, I even shared it. So many came up to me and said, you know, I had, like I said, I had no idea. I had a family member come up and say, you know, wow, you were so brave sharing that. I couldn't have done it, but you were brave sharing that. And so, it wasn't that I was trying to be brave or anything. I just wanted to share the story because you never know who needs to hear it. And
That's right.
so that was my only goal or intentions for doing it. I just, just to help someone else out because I've been there, and, perhaps I'll let them know, that's not the end of your story. So
Yeah.
that's, that's what I got.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's
So you didn't experience anybody trying to like talk you out of like, you sure you want to do this or anything of that nature, or
I did not.
it was nothing. Like, it was more people were more so excited to
Yes.
okay, great, let's I'm excited to hear and see, and that makes sense. I mean, again, as I shared earlier at the top of the show, your episode was a top 10 viewers choice, so clearly people were interested, even if they went in initially just to be nosy. It's always good to know that in the end that there were some people who wasn't just being nosy, but they were actually inspired by what you had to say. They were moved by it.
Yeah.
They were, wow, okay, that meant a lot to hear the sharing of your story. So same question for you, Dre. I don't know who you shared with initially that you were even doing this, but I'm curious to know what was some of the feedback that you received, whether it was before it happened or after it aired, that kind of people sharing with you what they thought about you telling your story.
So, me, I was the opposite of Donna. I really wasn't telling everybody. Because I want nobody to come back and ask me no more questions. No. What was you talking about? What? So, I'm like, only people knows like people here in the house. Uh, but my coworker that I work with now, she happened to come across it and she watched it, and she was very moved by it. She was very. It really moved her, and so yeah, she was like, "Oh my goodness!" She said your story was great, and so and I just went into more details with her about the whole thing, and so I mean we were sitting at work crying, because she just got so emotional behind it, and so yeah, it just but yeah, but she and then when she saw that we was gonna be on, she said, "Y'all gonna be on there again?" She said, "Y'all doing another." She said, "Y'all doing another story?" And I said, I said, I think we just gonna be going reiterating, but yeah. So I mean, it probably was some other people who probably said something to my husband or something, but nobody, no negative anything. Nobody was negative about anything that was said. So yeah.
Awesome. And I'm
Well,
actually I'm throwing Kim in the chair too
oh,
on this because again, Kim had prior experience being on the show, but this time she was on the Marathon
yeah.
of Marriage series that we had, and there's a reason why her episode with her husband Vince ended up being in the top 10 was because you shared some very personal things that I didn't even know about
Yeah.
in regards to your marriage, and I would have never known, having been around you, both you and your husband, and seeing how the two of you interact. What was that? What was, from a feedback perspective, was
Oh,
like for
okay.
you when people got a chance to
Yeah.
hear from the marriage standpoint? And it's important to know for Donna and Dre and for my listeners, Kim and her husband are both very active in church, so you obviously know what that's like when you're kind of one of the well-known folks in church and you start laying out some very personal, intimate things about your marriage. Folks be like, oh, it could go either way.
Right.
It could be a totally negative slant and they start judging you, or they could end up embracing what you had to say and like, wow, thank you for sharing that. Curious from you as well, Kim. Tell us, what was that experience like for you and Vince, and feedback wise after you all did that episode and it aired?
Yeah. So we were, like Joe said, we did share some personal things that we have experienced in the beginning of our marriage, and one was infidelity. And so I shared with the audience that it was a trust factor for me because for my first marriage, this my second, his first. it was the same thing. But when I shared with the audience that this time it was a little different, because when my husband now said that it would never happen again, I truly believed it, and it didn't. So what happened was the feedback that I received, like he said at church, people was coming up to us at church, and what Joe didn't know, one of our married couple ministry groups, me and my husband is a part of, the leader shared the link with everybody that was a part of the married couple ministry, right? And so they were all watching it simultaneous. And then I had a couple of pastor friends that watched it as well. And they were texting my husband and I, wow, I didn't know y'all were going through that. I would have never known. So we were getting almost like live feedback while the episode was playing, because they all tuned in on that day that the episode aired. But I want to say this. I'm glad we shared our story just like you, Donna and Andrea. It helped someone else because it was a couple that was struggling in their marriage. And the wife came up to me that Sunday and she was like, Sister Davis, I didn't know you went through that, and I saw her tearing up. And she said, I really appreciate that because they helped me a lot with what you and your husband have went through. And now I see stuff a little different with my husband. And y'all gave me some insight on how you gave me insight on how I could better respond to certain things as a woman. And my husband, because he was on the trail, he was texting my husband as well and said, I learned something from it. So that really did me some good to hear that feedback. And the other couple, our married couple leader ministry, was saying, I think his wife made a comment in the history of the episode that was a powerful testimony. And all we were doing was sharing our story. No marriage is perfect. It's what I learned. And it takes two individuals to work at it, And I think one of the things that I shared is communication is very important, whether it's bad or indifferent. Communication is important because you don't want to have the other person guessing. We're not mind readers, although, as a woman, we think our husband's supposed to read our mind.
He is.
That's what
He is.
on they point. No.
Text Gary.
Reality. In reality, no, they can't read our mind, but we have to have clear communication, and trust is the main factor for me. And my husband have never gave me any doubt since that situation years ago to ever have me doubt him. I've never been through his phone. I have no reason. He leave it laying around unlocked. We got each other passwords, but I don't have no reason to look through that, because if I'm a trust, I'm a trust.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the things I shared with that young lady. I said, if it's at the point to where you want to move forward in your marriage, you got to let some things go. You can't carry it with you. You can't drag the past with you for your future, because that's going to interrupt. So, and yeah, I got a lot of feedback and it was good. And I'm glad we were able to share our story, and even on his side. And then we're a blended family. And then I'm a cougar. So we had a lot going on. So we have a lot going on. So yeah, I was happy to share that.
Well, at least you claimed ownership to being a cougar, because yes, you are. Yes. I ain't gonna tell her age. I'm gonna just say her hubby just turned 50. So
I can say it.
And she just had a birthday yesterday.
Yeah, my birthday was yesterday, and I'm 61.
Okay,
No, I
happy
never thought.
belated.
Yes,
Thank
happy
you.
belated birthday, but I would have never
Yes.
thought.
No,
I would
I
never
wouldn't
thought
have
that.
either.
Yeah, I'll be 61. Well, I am 61. Yeah, I just
Okay.
turned 61 yesterday. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome,
Yes.
awesome. And I didn't mean to cut you off, Kim. I think you were. Did you have something that you wanted to ask them about the? As I was inquiring with them about their feedback that they received, I didn't know if you had any additional commentary before I turn it back over to you to ask your next question.
Oh no, I was just saying that I really enjoyed their episode. I really did. And you know, when Donna had mentioned about, and even like Drea, you know, that was just something she wasn't really to share, and that's okay. You know, with the, you know, letting everybody know that you're gonna be on a podcast. And when Donna said, "Yeah, I was saying," you know, told, it's okay, you know, because you got to be comfortable in a moment when you get ready to share. And if you're not ready to share, you're just not ready to share. People walk around here all day, and y'all know this every day, not sharing. They holding things in,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's okay because you don't know who to trust with the information that you give.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so I totally agree. Be careful about it, but one would think when you're on a podcast, you're gonna reveal yourself anyway. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but you're still limited on what you're gonna say because, like Joe said, um, we don't know what's gonna. He don't know what's gonna be said. So you're
Mm-hmm.
still willing to share what you're willing to share, and that's okay. That's what I want to say.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Awesome, awesome. And I think what's critical, and I say this quite often in many of the episodes, and I'll just reiterate it again, is that when it comes to the sharing, one of the things that you'll always hear from me is just to say is the share leads you to share. And I think there's something powerful about when you allow God to dictate how you share, because so
Yes.
many times I've had people at the end of the recording say to me, I never, either they've never said this to anybody before, or they went in thinking that they were only going to talk about, you know, a certain thing, and then they end up talking about something, you know, additional to that. And I don't think it was an accident or it just, you know, inadvertently slipped out. I just think it's about you allowing God to lead you, because he what part of your story needs to be spoken about and needs to be heard, because again, as I share all the time on the episodes, is that we may never see the faces of the people who hear. We may never know the names of the people who hear. But nevertheless, your story needs to be heard by someone. And so I'm always confident that, you know, regardless of how many views a particular episode gets, whether
That's
it's
right.
1 or 1 million, it doesn't matter to me. If one person was moved by your story, if one person heard it that needed to hear it, then the mission has been accomplished. We achieved what we set forth to do. So, and again, that's why I'm not big on, you know, all the editing and the tweaking and all that. It's just what it is, and
It
here it
is
is.
what
It's
it is.
plain and simple, raw.
Mm-hmm.
And but again, to your comfort level, as Kim spoke to,
That's right.
whatever that individual is comfortable in sharing. I'm never going to force an answer out for shock effect or anything like that. It's just whichever you're comfortable in sharing. So,
And
Grace.
I add this, Drea, when she, in the episode when she got emotional, when she spoke of her mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can relate because when my mom passed, that was one of the most difficult times of my life. And during the interview, when Joe first interviewed me, I shared that with him. So I definitely can relate to that because I was 32 at the time she passed, and I had recently got a divorce. I'm her only daughter with 4 boys, and I was like, okay, Mom, I need you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I totally understand. But now that I reflect back over my life, I needed God more. He
Mm-hmm.
navigated my life for me.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom needed her rest, you
Yeah.
know. So that's why I could relate to that. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, Kim. Well, yeah. What was your next question that you had of our guest tonight?
Okay. So what I would like to know is, what words of encouragement or reasoning would you offer to someone that would be considering to share their story if the opportunity was presented to them?
So, you want me to go first?
That's fine, Andrea. Yes.
So I would just tell somebody, since I have done this,
Mm-hmm.
that this is a good platform. You're not you with people, somebody so that makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
In that you don't have anybody watching you. You know what I'm saying? You don't have a lot of people that you can see watching you to make you feel nervous that you can't get your story. But if you got something that God has blessed you through, and you know that somebody else needs to hear it, you should do it. You should
Awesome.
100% do it, because it made a difference for me. It did, to be
That's
able to share my story.
that's great advice. Like I stated earlier, it's a lot of people walking around with a great story because, truth be told, we all have a story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just waiting to be birthed and
Yeah.
to fall on the ear that it needs to fall on. Like Joe said, whether it's one person or a million views, someone's going to hear it and someone's going to benefit from your story. Because one thing about it, once a person share their story, you're looking at a victory.
Yeah.
Someone that's been victorious,
Yeah.
doing the same struggle that somebody else might be going through. So you're absolutely right on that, Dre. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Donna, what would be your words of encouragement or reasoning for someone, uh, consider sharing their story opportunity was given to them?
So, without saying names, I actually have spoken to someone that Joe had approached to be on the show, and they didn't believe they had a story. And
Wow.
I told her, you have a story. You
Mm-hmm.
don't realize you have a story, but oh my goodness, you have a story, and you getting through it and you making it through would be
Mm-hmm.
such a blessing to someone else. And
Mm-hmm.
so, at this time, she's still on the fence, but I am working with her. So hopefully she will reach out, because her story is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And she would help so many. And
Yeah.
she was
She
such a
was.
blessing. Yes.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I think what I want to tag on real quick, what Dre said, I do believe that when you are asked to share your story, the platform, the atmosphere, it is important.
It
Um,
is.
I'm not, I knew that when I first came up with this whole concept of doing this podcast and the manner in which I was doing it, um, I knew that it was going to be a challenge to get people to step up and again to share as vulnerably and openly as the guests that have come on the show have done. I honestly did not. I never expected over the course of 2 seasons that I would get the positive response in terms of people being willing to do it. I knew some people would be okay with it, but God is, again, this is just God moving in this podcast, in the sense that and I've shared this stat before. Like, when I think about all the people that I've asked, literally, I would have to say 98% of the people that I've asked have said yes, and 98% of the people that I've asked have never done this before, and
Yeah.
a good majority of those people have stories that they've never told anybody before, or very few
Mm-hmm.
people know about. And so that in itself is a privilege and an honor for me, when I know that people trust me, trust my platform to be open and sharing like that. So in some cases, some traumatic things that have happened in their lives that they're having to revisit and pull that scab back, if you will, and point out all these details, not knowing what people might think that see it, or how they might feel about you, or what have you. So I don't take that lightly. I don't take that for granted. But I do, again, to Dre's point, it is critical, and I've shared this before with people who have thought about getting on podcasts. There's so many out there, but you can't be on just everybody's podcast.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody doesn't have the right intentions. as far as what it is that they're asking of you to share. So I do think it's important that you do your research for those who are thinking about sharing their story on a podcast. Even if you don't know the person, just kind of get a feel for like what is their style like, what is their what has been their track record. And you can usually tell within looking at a couple of episodes as to what you're looking forward to. And if that thing doesn't sit right with you, you pray on that, and it doesn't sit right with you, then I would be okay with passing on that. Because I said everybody who brings you on, and we know this just from traditional media sources that we see on our television sets, that certain programming or whatever, or even the reality shows or things of that nature are out there that are again, that the intention is to exploit and to make a mockery of your story rather than to celebrate it and to help somebody.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to be mindful of that. And even as a podcast host, I am particular about who I ask to be on the show. So there are many podcasters out there that if you see on the internet right now, go on social media platforms, one of the common statements will be, hey, if you're interested in being a guest on my show, just reach out to me and let me know. So they're pretty much taking anybody who says they want to be on. Well, I know what I'm trying to accomplish here. I know what the tone that I'm trying to set here. So I don't openly do that. It's a direct invite to you. Every now and then I'll get people, of course, out to me because they become aware of what I do, and they'll ask for my consideration of them being on the show. And there are some times when people ask for consideration to be on, and if I don't think that it's in alignment with what we're trying to accomplish here, I'll respectfully pass on that. While there are others who I'm thankful that they reached out to me, that I didn't know them and God led them my direction, and they've proven to be wonderful guests that fit seamlessly in what we're trying to accomplish here. So, so definitely both of you in words of encouragement to those who might have an opportunity, whether it's my platform or a platform similar to that. As Kim has reiterated multiple times, I mean, everybody has a story. And again, and God expects us to share those victories, to share those stories, not because we're bragging and boasting, but again, it's an opportunity to bless somebody. Because the other thing too is that when we go through what we go through, a lot of times people think that it's about them. But one of the things that I've had to learn over time is that every challenge, every storm that you go through isn't even about you. Sometimes God positions us to go through a situation or a circumstance, not because it was for us, but it was to prepare us to be able to pour into somebody that we're going to encounter, again, weeks, months, even years down the road that we don't even know yet. Yeah. But they needed to hear that story, but God placed you in that situation to go through it, so you'll be able to actually help somebody that's going to have a similar circumstance go through it, to process through it later down the road. So again, just not even making it be about us is critical as well. So,
and also I'd like to add what Dre said about people considering sharing their story. That's when she said it's a safe place and you don't have an audience. I think that's what kind of, when I said butterflies earlier, you think about if somebody is like we're recording or whatever, you think it's live recording, like she said. And I think that's what frightened a lot of them. Until, like Joe platform, I can honestly say that, and I thank you, Joe, for this, that you created a platform that's safe. It's a atmosphere to where we want to be open and transparent with what we're sharing. We don't know what we're going to share until we get there. Right. I can honestly say whatever is shared in that moment that you open up the floor for us is what needs to be shared, and so I really appreciate it because it's a safe place. And like Donna and Dre, when they shared their stories, someone heard it, and we shared it with transparency, honesty, and with God in the middle of it, because we couldn't have been victorious without it. But that gives to the host, kudos to the host, for creating that atmosphere for be able to share that, in a safe environment and not worried about if someone likes it or not. It's just something that needs to be shared and somebody's going to hear it. So,
Right.
we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you for that feedback. That's meaningful and important to me, especially as I'm entering into like as I said, we finalized out season 2, and I do have plans for a season 3, but I'm going to take a little bit more time in between, because I want to make sure that coming back for a season 3, that it's that not only that we maintain the same momentum that we've had so far in the first 2 seasons, but I want to, of course, look for ways to level it up, to make it a more even broader and more meaningful experience, and just kind of leaning into God to give me the direction and the guidance, and of course surrounding me with people like yourselves, who I know will be straight up with me, will be transparent, will be tell me not what I want to hear, but tell me what I need to hear. That means me as I look to see, okay, exactly where does God want this to go, and what things does He want to branch off of this, because there's more that I desire to do that will be an extension of the podcast as well. So having that guidance, having that direction, and that feedback from you is definitely critical and very much appreciated. So thank you for that. So again, Donna and Dre, thank you so much for coming on for the reunion episode. Not only just reflecting on what that experience was like, but sharing with others. Because again, there's going to be some folks that listen to this who maybe they've been following along. Maybe this is their first time ever tuning into an episode, and so you sharing as you have in your own individual stories, but also letting them know that this is not an opportunity that they should necessarily shy away from. It's okay for them to feel nervous about doing something like this, especially if you've never done it before. Even if you've done it before, oddly enough, people will tell me all the time, as a host, I get people who say, you seem like you're just kind of a natural to this, that this is easy for
Yeah.
you. But there's a certain level of nerves that I get every show that I do. And I mean, we're talking about, we got, by the time the reunion episodes are aired, in addition to the episodes that are on board, we're talking about 166 episodes that have been done just in over a year's time. And each episode, there's a certain level of nervousness, if you will, not nervousness as in scared or fear, but just wanting to do a production, if you will, do an episode, if you will, that I feel comfortable that they will be pleasing to God, that this is how He wanted me to do it, and that I didn't lose sight of why He placed it on my heart to begin with to do this, because a year ago you could have never told me that I would ever be doing a podcast. It was not on my bucket list. It was not on my to-do list or anything like that. And I had no prior training or experience. It was just got the mic, got the headphones, got the platform, and went at it. And so, so I'm just thankful for that, and just wanted to, make that known to you as well as to my listeners, so that they understand that, yeah, even I in this role, even no matter how comfortable it may seem to me, there's some nerves that are blended in there, because I want to make sure my people are comfortable, that they feel safe, that, and again, that it's a meaningful time spent together. So. The 3 of you ladies have made that possible for me in your respective participation on the podcast, and I'm thankful for that. And you always, of course, have an open door to be on the podcast for for future episodes. Of course, we have different special editions that we come up with and things of that nature. So if it's a good fit for you, I have no problem reaching out as well to say, hey, come on, be a part of this, because I think you have something valuable to share. So again, I can't say thank you enough in that regard. But before I let you go, as customary on every episode, I do want to take a chance to, again, celebrate you, love on you, acknowledge you. So I'm curious to know, and I'll start with you, Donna. Is there anything that we need to know about that's going on with you, as of late, that we need to, that we can celebrate or acknowledge, whether it's something going on now or coming up, personally or professionally? Please share that with us, because we want to show some love to you.
Well, I will say that right now I'm in the midst of celebrating all my grandbabies' birthdays. Everybody is literally 1 month apart. So It's got the 1-year-old out. Look, hers was Saturday, and then I got 2 more the next 2 months, and then my daughter is getting married next month. So, or I'm sorry, next year.
Next year.
Next year.
Next year.
This girl said next month.
I was gonna say she trying to year next month. That's a big difference, though.
Next year, but we've started the dress shopping, and she has her dress, and the bridesmaids, and she's like, and you're wearing this color, mom, and so on Labor Day I'll be going to look at venues. Yeah, she's on it. So yay, that's
awesome.
That is
Thank
awesome.
you.
And that just blows me away because all I see is little Kamari. I don't
Okay.
see grown woman, mother,
No grown
about to
woman.
be wife. Kamari,
Yes.
that just blows me away. But
Yeah.
again, this is a testament to how long we've known each other, and watching each other's kids grow up. So
Yes.
that's a beautiful thing. I saw the proposal when it took place. Kim, I know you didn't see it, but her fiance proposed to her at church.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, at church.
We set it all up.
Yeah, so it was definitely an interesting. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, oh, "Wow, okay,
That's awesome."
Yeah, so that was a beautiful thing, and I'm excited for her, and I know you're excited as a soon-to-be mother-in-law, and I know you. And I always in your pictures I see with your grandbabies. I know that's
Yes.
That's just a thing, for you. That's a whole new unique experience in itself. So
Yes.
much blessings and happiness and to you and to that process, and praying that it goes well and smoothly without a hitch, and everything lays just the way that it's supposed to be, and that they have a long-lasting, beautiful, successful marriage, and
Yes.
and then of course doing it with God in the mix of it. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure they watch that. I'll make sure they watch that podcast, because that's yes.
There we go.
Yes.
What about you? Anything that we need to know about what you got going on? You always got something going on.
I always got something going on.
You got something.
Look, while she talking about Kamari being grown up, I was just sitting here thinking, Jalen, my daughter was in kindergarten when we all met, and she just turned 29. So where did that happen?
I know.
Right. Yes.
How did that happen? Kindergarten to 29, I don't know. That went by fast. But yeah, I'm just was sitting here thinking, I was like, man, we have been knowing each other forever. No, what's going on with me? At my job, I got like 3 raises within a month's period.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm getting ready to start this certification class. That's more money, So getting ready to start doing that. Anniversary's coming up on the 6th of September. And wedding anniversary be 27 years.
Awesome.
We've been married, so yeah. So other than that, I ain't really got nothing going on. Been trying to lay low.
Well, that's a lot right there.
It is.
27 years. You got again, grown daughter, which, like I said, known since you was in kindergarten. Oh my goodness. Y'all old, not me.
I was thinking that, but not
whatever.
I say the same thing. Everybody getting old but me.
Right.
But again, definitely much success to your marriage, to the raises coming in on the job. Blessings for more of that to come, more elevation in your work. Just moving again in your life, making sure that you want for nothing, that you have, that all the needs are met, that the family is together and tight as it needs to be. And, so that's definitely something to celebrate and acknowledge. Yeah. And we don't take that lightly. So when you say, I ain't really got much, that's just that. No, that's a whole lot right there.
Yeah.
That's definitely something to celebrate. Definitely. Because again, even to that, like we talk about how old your daughter was at the time when we all met. you were still very early in marriage when we met.
Yeah.
We known each
Yeah.
other for 24 years, and y'all was like
Yeah.
just a few years in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Just a
practically,
few. Yeah.
So I mean, so for you to even still be
Poor
able to
Gary.
say that it's still going, this long when in the midst of times where marriages just don't make it like that.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. So we definitely
It
I
celebrate
is.
mean,
that.
and like you
Yeah.
said, Kim, it takes two. Takes
Yeah.
two to make it work. So
Yes. Yeah. Put in the
Yes.
work.
yeah,
Yeah.
plenty.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I be wanting to strangle them sometimes, but
That's part of it. Yes.
Like you
Sometimes
want to lay hands on her.
we're liking you right now.
Okay.
It's-
Because he
I can't
kept
have you in
coming.
there laying hands on
He
Gary.
he been coming in here. He kept coming here, and I'm like, and that's all I was doing. I'm like, what are you going? I'm like, what?
He want to make sure you ain't got his name in your mouth.
Whatever, whatever, Joe. Whatever.
27 years. Congratulations.
Yeah, but so we married 27. We've been together 34, 35. Yeah,
Yeah.
a
Awesome.
long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And of course, my co-host, Kim. Anything exciting you'd like to share? We celebrated your birthday. What
Yeah.
else you got some other
Yay!
stuff going on?
Well, they don't know. I retired 3 years ago from the IRS.
Oh,
Um, but I re-entered on
You
on
went back?
August 12th. Yeah, I went in through the retirement program,
okay.
where they solicit instructors. So they offered me a job doing that. So I accepted that. I onboarded August the 12th. So I'm going to be having teaching assignments. I'm excited about that because I don't have to manage no one and I don't work every day, only on my assignments, and it's fully remote, when I do work. So I'm excited about that because I get to travel some with the training. And Joe know I do quilting, so I'm excited. I have a couple of projects that I have in line with some quilting. I learned how to quilt during my retirement at church. One of the mothers of the church offered that free, so it's like probably about 10 of us that was retired, that we would meet at her house, and she had all kinds of machines. So I really enjoyed that. I've been quilting now for 2 years. And
Okay.
my anniversary is not until November. That'll be 22 years for us. And I think we're going on. We've been together 29, I think. Yeah, about 29 years together. And I'm just excited for this next chapter in my life. I don't know what God have planned for me, but I'm ready for
Yeah.
it. So yeah, thank you for that.
Awesome. Awesome. And again, we celebrate the just retirement in general has been great for Kim, and it's been a
Yeah,
blessing on multiple levels, and
yes,
she
it
hasn't
has.
looked at it as being the end of a story. It's just another phase to it. And so we know that you know God makes ways for you to still be impactful, or still be do meaningful works even after the
Yeah,
worldly career has come to an end. And so I'm excited for what lies ahead for you. And of course, if I find out that she's gonna have any assignments coming up in India, I'll definitely let you ladies know so you all can
yes.
connect in person.
Hey,
Um,
what's Johnny and Dre number? I'm in India.
I'm sure love if she gets
And
an
also,
assignment that way.
even through this my retirement journey, I don't have any grandkids, and my husband still work, and my kids are adults. They live on their own, so it's just me and God. I just felt like it was specifically designed for my relationship to get closer with God, and He blessed me to have this me time with me. My dad is 87 and he walked faster than me. He he still drives. He and my stepmom
Okay.
are in good health. So I really think that God gave me this opportunity to work on me. And that's what I've been doing. And I go to the gym as well. And my daughter was diagnosed with epilepsy about 2 years ago. So I've been available for her. I'm her Uber driver whenever she want to go, but she do a lot of delivery from home and she works from home. So it's really been a blessing, like Joe said, just that time that I have and the Lord blessed me with. So it's been really, really a blessing.
That's good.
Awesome. Well, again, much blessings to all three of you ladies. Thank you once again for being a part of this reunion episode, the
Yeah.
official closeout of season 2. This was, I can't think of a better way to kind of wrap this up. But again, it's we still have more to come. Blessings in the Streets podcast still has a future. There will be, like I said, there will be a season 3, which I'll likely be launching. I likely will not be launching it until 2025. Again, just to take some time out to reset, re-energize, and to pull some other things together that I got, some other irons in the fire that I got working. Not only in regards to the pop, some other new and exciting things that I'm allowing God to direct me accordingly with. So, again, cheers to another season. Cheers to you, and thank you for all that you do. And you're a part of this experience with me, and to my listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, not only today, but for the entirety of season 2. Is again, it's been another knockout season with some phenomenal guests, and I'm so thankful, so grateful. I don't even have words to share for that, but I'm certainly appreciative of that. But if you've enjoyed our reunion episode this evening, as always, please share, please subscribe, please like, please comment, because this is what the Blessings in the Streets podcast is all about. We want to inspire, we want to encourage, we want to uplift, being vulnerable, being transparent, and sharing our stories and our experiences and what this is like. And hopefully in this reunion series as well, in particular, that for those of you who might have been on the fence, wondering, should I ever do something like this, be a part of something like this? I hope that the ladies were able to encourage you, whether it's my platform or something similar. You got an opportunity to share your story and be a blessing to others. You don't ever want to pass that up. Testimonies are powerful in so many ways and so many levels. And you don't always have to even know the face or the name of the person that you're touching. God knows, and he can position you accordingly. And this is just one of many ways in which something like that can manifest itself. So with that said, remember, here at the Blessings in the Streets podcast, this is a place where your story is your glory, where your relationships are relevant, and your journey is your joy. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, until next season, you continue to keep fighting that good fight. You continue to pressing through, being open and willing to share your story with others, never knowing that you can inspire and encourage and uplift somebody. Don't keep that thing to yourself. God allowed you to go through what you went through for a reason. And it's not always just for your own edification, but for you to have an opportunity to be positioned to be a blessing to somebody else. So, and if you don't currently have a relationship with God, as always, we're here to tell you that, today is a mighty fine day to happen, because without him, nothing is possible, not only for us to be in existence, but for us to get through those challenging and difficult times in life. When you lean on him, when you trust in him, he's the ultimate problem solver, the ultimate way maker. His promises are rock solid. You can rest assured that anything that you place in his hands is going to be handled and taken care of, no matter how big you think it is, or how insurmountable you might think that it might be before you. Nothing is too big for God. So as long as you remember that and you enter into a relationship with him accordingly, life will be filled with blessings, and you will be equipped again to be a blessing to other people. So until next time, you take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next season. Have a great rest of your day.